We gather here as we do each year to celebrate the life and teachings and the courage of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. His works and his words continue to inspire generations of Americans to achieve a better nation in which every person, regardless of their background, can share equally in our nation's hope. Over 40 years ago, his life ended needlessly and tragically. Yet, his teachings live on and are more alive today than ever before, especially for the next generations of Americans. And that is why this gathering has never been more important. Last November, for the first time in our nation's history, Americans of all backgrounds, incomes, and ages came together to support the vision, ideas, and hopeful temperament of another great African American, Barack Obama. And so in just 4 days, the first African American will become the 44th President of the United States of America. This is historic and transforming moment for all of us, our nation, and the world. Barack Obama has proven that Dr. King's dream of racially tolerant society is possible, and that the American dream still exists for each and every person. For many of you in this room today, especially those who work with Dr. King, have been part of his movement for decades. You must be feeling enormous pride. But so do all Americans, especially those of us who have worked hard to represent the needs and hear the voices of all the people we serve. But let there be no mistake. Dr. King's legacy opened the door and helped create the possibility for an African American to be elected president in our lifetime. Over 40 years ago, as our nation mourned the loss of one of the most eloquent voices for social change, we were left to ponder what the future would hold for all of us. It was hard to imagine back then that a young black man with family ties to Kenya would become a U.S. Senator from Chicago. It was even harder to imagine that this man would be elected President of the United States. We don't need to imagine any longer. President-elect Obama has inspired our nation and the world with his vision and his eloquence. His historic election demonstrates that racial and social barriers in our society can be overcome. At the same time, increasingly, we can point to people of color and women as leaders and role models in just about every field in our society. And the first time ever, generations of young Americans will grow up knowing that more and more doors will be open to them. This is Dr. King's legacy. I truly believe that he would be proud to know that through his words, his beliefs, his bold deeds, he was able to influence the lives of all Americans today and generations to come. We are indeed moving closer to achieving Dr. King's dream of America that works for everyone, regardless of race, gender, age, sexual orientation, or background. But we all know there is much more to be done before America works for all of our people. It remains true that among the poorest Americans, minorities, and women, we still have to do better. After years of work, poverty still abounds in urban and rural areas, in cities large and small. And the gap between the rich and poor continues to widen at a time when our national economy is in deep trouble. Budgets are extremely tight for our nation's cities, states, and the country. Millions of people across our nation have lost their jobs, their homes, their savings, as the worldwide financial crisis worsens each day. Families not only cutting back, but struggling to make ends meet, as more and more of them are forced to live paycheck to paycheck. In these very difficult economic times, it's the particular responsibility of all of us, not just government. Business, religious, and civic leaders must come together and support one another. During these tough economic times, there's a growing need for new jobs, job training, affordable housing. There is a growing need for government to do all we can to protect our working families and the poor. Our leaders at every level need to enact programs that kickstart our nation's economic recovery, that invest in our infrastructure and, of course, our future and our families. Here in Chicago, we will continue to do all we can to ensure that no one falls between the cracks, that every Chicagoan is given the chance and opportunity to share in our city programs, and promise, I like to believe that our efforts follow Dr. King's advice. And Dr. King once said, and I quote, "The curse of poverty has no justification in our age," end of quote. He challenged all of us to help those who are poor, struggling, and yet many years later, our nation has not met this challenge. And at the same time, like many people, I am concerned that the economy worsens and the gap between the rich and poor will grow wider every day. And that's why it's so important for all of us to create new jobs and opportunities today to lessen the impact of this difficult economy. Especially during these tough times, we must give everyone an equal chance to lead the life they want. For me, it all starts with children and making sure that all of us are doing our part in order to have children succeed in life. And of course, it starts with the family. And all of us know that the key to anything in life is that family, or the extended family in communities. And there's nothing wrong with that. A parent, a grandparent, aunt or uncle, or someone living with you, a neighbor that has lost their family, or a child comes into your home in order to raise that child. Then it starts with a good education. I've always said here in Chicago, the greatest gift that I can give to a child, the family gives them family life, gives them values from their church beliefs, religious beliefs. In the city of Chicago, if we give every child a quality of education, what a difference it would make here in the city of Chicago. I ask all of you, in some capacity, during this year, go to a public school, meet some young children, give them a scholarship, mentor them, work with them, show them the way. It's not on the street of a gang, guns, and drugs when a parent is not looking after them. But all of us are trying to mentor a child here in Chicago. To me, that would be the greatest gift that the city could give to Dr. King's legacy of reaching out just to one child. If we do that, that will accomplish much. At the same time, don't stand by and read a newspaper. Turn on TV and read about another child being killed here in Chicago or America. Do something about it. Do you believe today that the police department has to be able to seize AK-47s, weapons that are used for destruction and war in Iraq and Afghanistan? You can buy them right here in America. And we see that constantly. Guns being used, a child killing another child. It is about time that after we lost President John F. Kennedy, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and Bobby Kennedy during the 60s, isn't it about time that all of us have some common sense about guns in America? I really believe when we have lost this idea that we can't do something, but you can do something. It is common sense. So during the summer months, I hope you reach out to a family. If there's a gun in the home, have that religious leader say, turn it into my church. We'll destroy that gun. That gun will never be used against another child. And to me, I challenge everyone in this room and throughout the city of Chicago, if you firmly believe what America can be, you have to firmly believe in another generation of young people in America. Right here in Chicago, we're leading the way. And we're very, very honored to have the Secretary of Education, Arnie Duncan, with us, one who's proven that education can make a difference right here in our great city. And I thank him for his leadership and commitment as he goes to Washington, D.C. to show them that education is the answer to all the social ills of our community. I want to thank everyone for being here this morning. This is a wonderful program. I thank the committee that worked very hard on behalf of Chicago, celebrating the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., born January 15th, 1929, killed and died on April 4th, 1968, known as a man of vision. When you go back to your office, you go back to your family, spend a few words about talking about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and what he's meant to not only yourself, this country, and the world. God bless you and thank you.